Let's learn everything about variables in Java. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Now, what are variables? How can we print variables or declare them? And what are identifiers? We will talk about all of these in this video. If I want to print a number, I can say system.out.println, and you see that I can print anything. I can print 10. Okay, I can even multiply 10 with 2. Don't worry, we will talk about math later. But if I run it, yes, you will see 20 as the result. There we go. However, if after few lines of code, so let's say that I have some line of code here, here, and here, I want to change the result of this 20 and print it again. Well, basically, yes, I can do this and say, hey, divide it by 5. I can do that for sure. And I will get 20 and then 4. I can do this because the math is really simple here. And we are working with constant values here. But if I have to change these values occasionally, I need a reference that contains this number or any other thing that is assignable to a container. I need variables. Variables are containers for storing data values. So how do we declare a variable? We simply say we want a type and we give it a name, we assign the value. However, to be precise, we need accessibility. So accessibility type name equals value, and that's it. So I can say, by the way, you need accessibility if you are outside of the method and inside the class. In the method, you don't need to assign anything because, well, your variables are just in the scope of the method. So type integer, and we will talk about data types in Java. However, if you want to know what is an integer, go and watch Programming for Beginners. I have a whole list of theoretical information for programmers there. So this is the type. I give it a name and I call it value 1. And I assign the value of 10 to it. Now I can assign another integer and I call it value 2 and assign 2 to it, an integer value 3 and assign 5 to it. Then somewhere in the code, we will, let's say that we have some functional code here and I want to do something. I will say, hey, I want a double as the result of value 1 multiplied by value 2. And again, we will talk about math later. And I need to give it a name and I will call it double 1. Okay? So here I can print double 1. Down the code, I can say, hey, double 2 equals double 1 divided by value 3. And again, I have an error because I didn't put the type here. So double 2. And then I can say, hey, please print double 2 for me. As you see, at any place in the code, I have access to value 1, value 2, value 3. And the moment I declare double 1, after that, I have access to double 1 and value 1, 2, and 3. And when I declare double 2, I have access to double 1, double 2, value 1, value 2, value 3 inside this method. However, if I have another public static void method something and don't pay attention to what I'm doing here, but right now I came outside of the scope of main method. Okay? Now if I type value, you see I don't get value 1, 2, 3 or double 1, 2, 3 because they are dead. They were alive as long as they sit in the scope of this method because they were declared in the scope of that method. If I would come up and say, hey, private double age equals to 35, for example. Now inside the method, somewhere I can say age and I don't have access to it. Why I don't have access to it? Because I need to make it static, okay? And now I have access to this age, as you see. What if I say system.out.println age? As you see, I have access to age. Not only there, but also in this method, because age is alive in the scope of class. So as long as I am inside the class, I have access to age. If I make it public, I can say, hey, I want the main age. And you see that I get access to it even with calling the class here, and it can be anywhere in any project because it's again static. If you don't know what's the meaning of a static, I have a video about statics. Go and watch them. And that is how we declare variables in the scope of class or method or even inside other parts of the program. So creating it is not hard. If I want to change the value, so assigning new value is really easy. Let's that, for example, somewhere in the code, I decided that value 1 should not be 10, but should be 100. That's it. Put equal the new value, semicolon, and that's it. If I run the program right now, you will see that first of all, we get the value of the age, okay? Then it comes down and says, hey, value 1 multiply value 2. Instead of 10, now it multiplies 100 by 2, gives 200, and it becomes 200. And then 200 divided by 5, well, it's 40, and that's it. So that's the assignment of variables. Let's say that for some reason I made the decision that I never ever want to change this age value. I'm sure that age should always be 35. How can I do that? There is a keyword called final. If you put final in front of any value, it can't be changed. For example, here, if I say final int equals 10, then you will get an error down below because it says, hey, cannot assign a value to final variable. You said that this value is final and you shouldn't change the value of a final variable. That's the final decision making there, so you shouldn't change the value down below. So remember, final makes a final decision making on value assignment, basically. Now, how can we just print some values? We just saw println. However, I can mix text with this. So I can say final result equals to that, and it will print it for me. Also, I can print the values multiplication or math result right as it is. So I can say value 1 multiplied by value 2. Now let's run this guy because there will be something interesting here. Now you see, well, we are printing the age, then we get to these two print lines. Once we get 20, and then we get 20.0. The reason is that here we are multiplying two integers. Integers don't have decimal values, so the result is the integer. Then we define a value as double. Well, doubles have precision on decimal section, and here we have 0 as decimal, so it shows the decimal. And finally, here again we are printing a double, but before that we are adding some text in front of it, so that's the result. Now, how can we assign multiple variables in one line, provided they are not final? If we have a situation like this, all three of these are integers. They only have different names and different numbers assigned to them. Here I can put a comma and say value 2 equals to 2, comma value 3 equals to 5. And if I remove this line, everything works. So basically, I can assign each one of these with their own values. So I can say int x, y, z. Here, I am creating three integers and not assigning any number to it. Then I can say x equals, y equals, z equals 1. And here I'm assigning 1 to all three of them. So x will be 1, y will be 1, z will be 1. And if I print out the result of x plus y plus z, you will get 3. Okay, let's run it. As you see, 3 is being the very first thing that is printed, and the rest is the same, so we make sure that these are assigned properly. Now the last thing, what is identifiers? As you noticed, if I want to make a new integer and I call it x, I get error here, and it says that, hey, x is already defined in the scope, means that in this method. However, capital X is another story. Remember, Java is case sensitive, so x can't be duplicated as lowercase. The name of the variable is called identifier. So identifiers should be unique. We have general rules for identifier. Here are some rules. Names can contain letters, digits, underscore or underline I call it, and $sign. For example, I can say int v dollar and it will work. $v will work. 1v won't work, but v1 or v2 will work. -v won't work. v-d won't work. However, v underline d will be the same name and it will work. Okay? So it can be $sign, digit, letters. Names must start with letters. Now remember, variables are camel case. So camel casing, the variable names are the standard of Java. So they start with lower cases, okay? It can't have spaces. And as I said, you can start your variable with dollar or underline. Normally these days, no one starts with a dollar. That was very, very old practice. Underline is controversial. Some people use it for private field that will not be encapsulated outside of itself. And if you don't know encapsulation, go back and watch the playlist for the theoretical programming knowledge for beginners. So if you have a private variable that is not encapsulated outside of the class, some people use underline at the start. Most of these people are C# programmers. It's not a very used practice inside Java. And as I said, variables are case sensitive, so integer my_var is different than integer my with capital V var. These are two different variables. Keep that in mind. Some keywords are being reserved. So for example, you can't say double int equals to 10. As you see, compiler yells at you that, hey, int is a keyword. However, underline int or int underline is another story. The keyword itself, without any extra characters, can't be used. And these are the rules for identifiers, for the names of variables and stuff like that. Even classes are identifiers. So names can't go out of these rules. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.